Enter to win a chance to walk a day in Robin's shoes.
A very special guest.
We get asked that a lot.
We
Why has it
do.
worked?
You know, we don't have the perfect.
I wanted the women and children who come to this shelter to feel safe and comfortable.
Dr. Phil no longer wears a ring. Robin disappears from every frame. The whole crew keeps their mouth shut. But then a clip leaked. He left the lawyer's office, head down, not saying a word. Everything exploded. The couple once hailed as the stainless steel of American television has broken 3 years of silence. No explanation until today. Dr. Phil spoke up. His 45-year marriage ended, and for the first time he tells it all, from the quiet cracks to the final blow behind the scenes. On July 14th, 2022, an 11-second clip went viral on social media. In the video, Dr. Phil walks out of a divorce attorney's office in Pasadena and quickly gets into a waiting black SUV. The person who posted the video captioned it with a single line, "Something big happened today." There was no official response from Dr. Phil's representatives for more than 3 months, but in the modern media world, silence is the most powerful catalyst. In the weeks that followed, the signs kept coming. Robin McGraw was surprisingly absent from 2 specials celebrating the final season of Dr. Phil. On Instagram, she posted only photos of her books and personal inspirational quotes, with no mention of her husband. A media magazine quoted a production insider as saying, "The atmosphere on set changed completely. By mid-year, Phil was quieter and always left early." At the time, Dr. Phil was still one of the most influential television personalities in America. He and Robin were on nearly every show together, from talk shows to their own projects like Merit Street Media, and they had established a solid image of an inseparable couple. So even a small gap in their schedules was enough to make the public notice something was wrong. The story exploded when a blue-ticked account posted the following status: Dr. Phil, the man who taught millions how to stay married, is losing his own marriage. Mainstream media initially did not rush to report the news, but entertainment outlets like Celebrity Pulse, Radar TV, and several celebrity analysis podcasts quickly jumped on the bandwagon. Leaked audio from a private seminar Robin gave in Dallas revealed her telling hundreds of women, "Never let anyone define you as someone else's wife." Though she did not name anyone, the context was easy to deduce. The content was taken down from the platform within hours, further fueling the public's suspicions that something was being hidden. Dr. Phil's show continued to air, but attention had shifted. A breakdown from a popular YouTuber who specializes in body language pointed to Dr. Phil's cold expression and constant avoiding of the camera in episode 254, where he talked about signs of emotional detachment. Viewers spiked not because of the content, but because viewers wanted to find the real clues behind his words. The pressure was mounting. A reporter asked Robin directly at the press conference for his new book, but the answer was, "I am here today as an author." When Dr. Phil returned to the airwaves with Dr. Phil Primetime, Robin was nowhere to be seen. More notably, this time he wore a plain shirt, no tie, and no smile. In the final segment of the program, he said only one sentence: "Sometimes keeping quiet is the only way to not hurt more, but I understand that silence for too long can hurt others in other ways." Articles have suggested that Dr. Phil's long silence is not a media strategy, but a crisis of image control. Phil has always built an image of someone who understands and leads emotions, said one media analyst. When his own emotions are questioned, he loses his edge. The incident came to a head when a former security guard emailed an independent magazine detailing that Dr. Phil had removed his personal belongings from his office in early August. He did not return to the studio's headquarters for 3 weeks, the person said. At the same time, the homepage of the production, Company Stage 29 Productions, was suddenly redirected to a page affiliated with Merit Street Media, where Robin was no longer listed as CEO. For more than 2 decades on camera, Dr. Phil and Robin McGraw have maintained the image of an ideal couple. She has been not only his wife, but also his strategic partner, the woman who has appeared on most of his most important shows. They have not only married, but together they have built a multi-million-dollar television empire with both of their names on contracts, shares, and many copyright agreements. But it is this close bond that has caused the cracks to smolder and become difficult to see. a former employee of Stage 29 Productions, the primary production company for Dr. Phil, revealed that Robin was on set nearly every day for more than 15 years. She was involved in editing, producing content, and controlling images on stage. Robin sat in the front row, often nodding or smiling as her husband shared his views. Nevertheless, that constant presence was not always built on joy. Over the years, Robin has admitted to press that she felt pressure by her personal image being merged with the Dr. Phil brand. In a 2020 interview, she clarified, "At home, I'm Robin. On television, I'm sometimes just the person behind Dr. Phil. Sometimes I get lost." This statement was initially considered a common statement in the television industry, but after recent developments, it is being viewed from a completely different perspective. Internal documents from Merit Street Media show that Robin was the one who proposed expanding into true crime and civil society in 2023, but a key meeting in September that year was not attended by her. A source within the editorial team confirmed that Robin had stopped signing off on content since October. By then, internal reports had begun to note a disconnect between the two company leaders. Another notable point is how Robin tends to avoid topics related to her personal life on her own platforms. In her 2024 book, she devoted the entire third chapter to women and self-reliance, including a passage that many followers highlighted. You can't heal the world if you're exhausted yourself. Most readers at the time took this as general advice, but after the turmoil of early 2025, many returned to quote and interpreted it as a hidden message. Additionally, a behind-the-scenes video filmed in Texas in 2019, which had been shared by the crew as internal material, has unexpectedly resurfaced. In the video, Dr. Phil is arguing with the director about a scene, and Robin steps in to offer feedback. He stops mid-sentence, turns around, and corrects her in front of the entire crew. There's no insult, but the cold, stiff demeanor of the moment silences the set. The video was taken down less than an hour after it was resurfaced earlier this year, but it's enough to give a glimpse into the layered relationship between two people who were once considered TV icons. The breakup, if it happens, doesn't happen in loud screams or open conflict. It happens quietly, step by step, in long meetings, in projects that are no longer discussed in depth, and when emotional distance is no longer measured by physical distance. All relationships, even the strongest, begin to fray. Image tragedy. Dr. Phil was once a national television icon, a man who abandoned clinical psychology to build a relatable, assertive, and authoritative image as America's emotional guide. From his early days with Oprah Winfrey in the late 1990s, he gave audiences the impression that his advice came not from a book, but from real-life experience and personal courage. Dr. Phil's show, which premiered in 2002, quickly became a staple in the lives of millions each. Episode averaged 2 to 3 million viewers. His name was synonymous with topics like marriage, abuse, addiction, and child rearing. The format was initially embraced for its directness and clear-cut solutions. He never beat around the bush, discouraged blaming, and often forced the protagonist to confront truths they had been avoiding. That's what made Dr. Phil so beloved by the public, until the layers began to crack. In 2008, the first incident that brought his image into question was his meeting with Britney Spears when the singer was in a mental health crisis. Dr. Phil was present at the hospital as a family friend, but just a few days later, he publicly shared about her condition on television. Britney's family immediately reacted and criticized him for exploiting a sensitive moment. Since then, the phrase television ethics has been associated with his name in debates. The backlash peaked in 2016 when the show aired an episode featuring Shelley Duvall, a once famous actress struggling with mental health issues. Dr. Phil's treatment of the story, which evoked disturbing memories on stage, was met with widespread criticism. The Guardian called it an interview that exploited vulnerability rather than support. Stanford University published a report analyzing how the media exploits mental illness, citing the episode as a negative example. Instead of stepping back and adjusting, Dr. Phil continued to push the show's extreme emotional content, gradually shifting the show from educational to sensational. Seasons from 2018 onwards saw a significant shift in its audience. Younger viewers dropped sharply while older and conservative viewers grew. Since 2020, He has invited controversial figures like Matt Walsh and Candace Owens, and has made comments against gun control, sex education, and woke culture. The shift toward more politicized topics has caused many of his former viewers to leave the show, while right-wing media organizations have begun to support him more strongly. In 2023, after 21 seasons, Dr. Phil ended. Instead of calling it quits, he announced the creation of Merit Street Media and relaunched the show in a new format, Dr. Phil Prime Time. The show focuses on crime, social policy, and ideologically driven conversations. Some media critics have said that he has abandoned his role as a psychologist to become a political figure on television. Although he still has a steady viewership, Dr. Phil's status has waned. On social media platforms, he is often associated with phrases like opportunist, unlicensed psychologist, and conservative TV mogul. And as he reemerges with his most personal admission, many see Dr. Phil not as a guiding icon, but as a man trying to hold on to the rest of his career. The final Speak Prime Time, Dr. Phil's special aired on his own network. There was no audience in the studio, no opening music, just a white light shining directly on a single chair where Dr. Phil sat facing the camera. No script, no guests. He began with one sentence. I'm going to say it right once. After that, what you want to believe is your business. The entire episode lasted 42 minutes. In it, Dr. Phil confirmed for the first time that his marriage to Robin McGraw had ended, without fanfare, without litigation, without trying to sugarcoat or save his image. He didn't specify a time frame, nor did he go into legal details. But speaking out publicly on television, and above all on a platform he completely controls, was a proactive and irreversible move. In his speech, he stated, "Robin and I have been together for more than 45 years. We have been united, fought for common goals, and protected each other from public pressure. But every journey has a destination. We reach that destination with sobriety, and by choosing not to hurt each other further." His voice was steady, but his eyes showed signs of fatigue. This is not the way a man explains the reasons for failure. This is the way a man tries to make the audience understand that there are failures for which no one is responsible. Notably, Dr. Phil also admitted that he didn't listen to Robin enough. He described himself as so used to giving solutions that I forgot to ask if people needed to hear them. The quote exploded on social media, retweeted by journalists, media professionals, and longtime fans alike. A short segment in which he looked directly into the camera and said, "I didn't lose because I didn't have enough advice. I lost because I sometimes use advice as a shield to avoid feeling my true feelings," was reposted on more than 100,000 posts in the 48 hours after it aired. Nonetheless, this time the announcement was not entirely met with absolute sympathy. On the X platform, many questioned the motive for airing the special on the same day as the release of his new autobiography, Straight Talk, From a Broken Man. Some critics said that this was an emotional staging to promote his personal brand, especially when the most emotional segments coincided with the content of the book. On television forums, the audience was clearly divided into two groups of opinions. Some considered this the most honest moment of Dr. Phil's career, and the other considered an image repositioning tactic. Nothing more, nothing less. Dr. Phil's choice to speak out nearly 3 years after the divorce rumors first surfaced is not only a move to close a private chapter, but also a move to redefine his new role in the media. He no longer maintains the image of the fixer, but accepts that he has just failed in the most important relationship of his life. No excuses, no dragging anyone down, no defensive rhetoric. Just a clear admission that sometimes the price of public success is a loss of personal connection behind the scenes of a legend. After the special aired, Dr. Phil was splashed across major news outlets, from the front page of USA Today to the in-depth columns of The Atlantic. But what was remarkable wasn't just the immediate reaction, but what happened behind the scenes after he spoke out. In its first week, searches for Merit Street Media quadrupled. Dr. Phil primetime engagement spiked, helping the show regain its place in primetime ratings. But behind the numbers was a much more complicated picture. An internal memo from the distributor said that Robin McGraw has not participated in any Merit Street strategy meetings since the last quarter of 2024. Although her name still appears in some legal documents as a co-founder, all voting rights have been transferred to other executives. On the company's official website, Robin's name was removed from the leadership introduction section in early March 20th, 25 without any official announcement. Observers saw this as a final step to completely separate the two people who were closely linked both professionally and personally. Dr. Phil, on the other hand, has shown no signs of backing down. In April, he appeared at 3 major conservative media events, including a panel at PAC and a panel discussion with the governor of Texas on family education. He reaffirmed his support for traditional values, denounced the overreach of the left-wing media, and called for a rethinking of television's role in shaping society. "If I use television to help families heal," he declared at a press conference, "I will now use it to defend the foundational values of the American family." The move made it clear that Dr. Phil was no longer a TV psychologist. He was positioning himself as a media icon, one who straddled the boundaries of entertainment, politics, and social thought. His endorsement of Donald Trump in the 2024 campaign and his accompanying ICE agents on an immigration raid in Chicago reinforced that image. Dr. Phil is now a cross between reality TV and hardline politics, wrote an editor at The New Yorker. He is no longer a healer but an opinion maker. This has come a polarizing effect. A loyal audience, especially in conservative states, still sees him as a strong, honest man who isn't afraid to say what's right. But for many younger, more progressive audiences, Dr. Phil has become a symbol of an outdated television generation that is perceived as one-dimensional and unsophisticated in its approach to modern social issues. On platforms like TikTok, a series of videos criticizing the content of Dr. Phil primetime episodes has attracted millions of views, many of which are harshly critical of his handling of topics related to gender, immigration, and juvenile delinquency. Old stories are also starting to be re-examined. Several episodes from 2010 to 2016 are being reanalyzed from a modern perspective, with experts saying that Dr. Phil's approach to guests may violate basic principles of mental health support. A nonprofit organization that protects the rights of former television hosts even sent a letter asking Merit Street Media to review its editing process for its shows. If you have your own feelings about this story, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like if you find the content useful. Share the video with those who are following Dr. Phil's journey. And subscribe so you don't miss out on the stories behind the spotlight. See you in the next videos.